Hello and welcome to World Talks here on TVP World. I'm Diana Skaya. Europe is on alert after the release of Washington's new national security strategy. The message is unmistakable. The United States expects Europe to take on far more responsibility. Expansion of NATO may not be on the immediate agenda, and every move is being calibrated to avoid a broader confrontation with Russia. So what will the EU's response be and what are the next steps? Well, for countries near the Ukrainian front lines, these shifts feel especially consequential. I'm joined now by Tomasz Zając, analyst at the Polish Institute of International Affairs, to unpack what this all means for our region. Good morning. Thank you so much for being with us here, Tomasz, on World Talks. Now, before even, going into further details, I want to ask you, what was your overall impression of this new U.S. security strategy? Is this something you expected? Should Europe and possibly specifically Poland be worried? And how do you think European capitals, EU leaders have reacted so far?
So first of all, thank you for having me, and nice being here once again. So as regarding your question, I would say that, most of the elements that are in the strategy were basically known before it has been published. So I wouldn't say that, I was surprised. I think at least Trump's administration is consistent in terms of what it is proposing. But yes, of course, since the beginning of the Trump's term, actually, I think the east of the European Union, Poland especially, can be worried about the direction that the United States are heading for, but I also think that we are trying to do our homework, and it's not a very good news for us. But to see it in a more positive light, I would say that it kind of gave us some kind of motivation to implement new measures. The SAFE program and the Rearm Europe, the big proposition from the European Commission of the new measures, financial measures actually to finance the EU's defense, is also, I think, the consequence of this approach of the President Trump to the what he told about the United States position in the world, his plans, etc. So I think that, like I said, we're taking more responsibilities, we're doing our homework, and again, I try to see it in more positive light, that it gives us actually some kind of motivation, and it was a wake-up call for you that we have to take more responsibility for our own neighborhood and for ourselves, basically.
Tomasz, what does taking more responsibility mean exactly in this context?
So we're talking mainly about defense, I think, and for years there was this debate regarding how many % of GDP we should spend on the defense, and the United States, they were this kind of like a soldier that took this this responsibility regarding defending or maybe Russia felt more threatened by the United States because it was the only country that was really capable actually of opposing it in terms of military power, and there were a lot of discussions regarding who is paying how much, whether this is a good actually notion, that percentage of GDP does it really show the effort that we're taking, but in the end I think this is a pretty reliable measure regarding the defense spending. And if you look at the tendencies, the recent tendency, you can see that basically the whole EU, the EU taken as a whole, is paying more for the defense. And I think that's the main challenge right now, right? It's just like creating these European capabilities in terms of defense. Of course, we're far away from the point where we want to be. This will take a long time, but I think that the momentum is good. The European countries are paying more and more to take care of their defense capabilities, and this is what I mean by the biggest challenge that is ahead of us, but by taking responsibility for ourselves.
Tomasz, what's your take on the fact that one of the most surprising parts of this strategy is that Russia is not labeled an adversary, and that Europe is criticized for its unrealistic expectation towards, for instance, ending the war in Ukraine? How do you interpret this?
So again, I don't think it's very surprising, and again, it is consistent in terms of the communication of the White House. If we look at the approach of the President Trump to Russia, you can see that although there were some back and forth, this attitude towards Russia, not labeling as a main threat or something like this, is something that was present almost since the beginning of the President Trump's term, and of course it is a bad news for us. I think there's a lot of diplomatic work happening there, trying to convince President Trump and his advisors that this kind of this kind of views, this kind of diagnosis of international situation is just erroneous, basically, and this will we will pay for it later on, right? But again, it is what it is, and what we can do right now is just try to take care of ourselves. But I also think what is interesting in this strategy is the way the Europe is actually portrayed in it, and again, it kind of rhymes with the approach to Russia. I think that the way President Trump sees Europe is not very accurate, to put it mildly. And what is sorry.
No, I do want to interrupt you right there. I mean, you did say something right now, so you think that Donald Trump doesn't see Europe as accurate, but let me ask you, what about Elon Musk? How do you think Elon Musk sees Europe, particularly after this tit-for-tat that he had with Foreign Minister Radosław Sikorski, and then we had Polish Premier Donald Tusk, also where Elon Musk reshared his comments on X, saying that, hey, wake up, Europe is your ally and not your enemy, essentially. What do you make out of that, out of this heated exchange, if that's what I can call it?
So, the political views of Elon Musk are clearly very controversial. So I'm not surprised, his presence on social media, things he writes is sometimes, it's insane. So there's nothing surprising there. And I think, I'm not sure whether reacting to this is not like feeding also a troll, as one may say. His views are really, really weird sometimes. He also has this tendency of having very strong opinions on things. I don't think he really knows a lot. So what he wrote basically, about Europe, but actually it's in line with the White House administration views. This vision of Europe being in decline, fighting with freedom of speech, how we are being replaced by migration, etc., etc. All this is pretty well known. The famous or infamous speech by Vice President J.D. Vance in Munich Security Conference. I think this was the moment when it started in a way. We could see how the elites, the American elites, are perceiving Europe. But again, I just think it's not accurate. We can try to convince them that this is completely false, but our tools are limited. So what we can do is just do our job. And first of all, I think what is very important is to be assertive, especially regarding the big tech companies, because this is also the bone of contention. This is also why Elon Musk wrote what he wrote because the European Commission recently fined X. The fine was 140 million euros, and of course he tried to present it as some kind of fight against free speech. But the truth is that the fine was due to very actually technical, I would say, reasons like the repository of advertisement, the fact that the verification, the blue mark, does it really give you this impression that an account is verified, and also the limited access for the scholars for the data index. So sorry, I don't want to bore our audience, but the thing is, I want to present that those are pretty technical things, and yet they try to present it as some kind of fight against free speech, and it's just not true. But I think the companies and also states, they try to push their economical interest, and they try to disguise them in this instance, for instance, the fight for the freedom of speech. And we just I don't want to say we shouldn't be bothered, but we shouldn't pay too much attention to that. We just should be assertive. This is they are gaining economical. They have economical gains from the fact that they're operating on the EU's market, so they have to follow our rules. The rules are democratic, European Commission. They are people sent from the member states, the European Parliament, who is directly elected, etc.
Right.
So those are rules that we are just making, and they just should follow them if they want to benefit from our market.
Thank you so much, Tomasz Zając, analyst at the Polish Institute of International Affairs, for breaking it down for us here on World Talks today.
Thank you for having me.
And that's all for this episode of World Talks here on TVP World. I'm Diana Skye. Thanks for watching.